Dominant 5 chords are great because they have a natural built-in tension that wants to resolve. This tension and release is a foundational aspect of harmony across many musical styles. And because of this unique quality, there's lots of cool options when it comes to playing over dominant 5 chords. Today we're going to discuss 3 of these options. So before we get started, let's look at this simple chord progression. The chords we're going to be using today are A minor and E7, and we're going to play each chord for 1 bar. Now this E7 chord is our dominant 5 chord, and it's called that because E is the 5th note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of an A major scale. And this E7 chord can be used to resolve to an A major chord, an A minor chord, or an A dominant 7th chord like in a blues. But for the examples today, we're going to use E7 to A minor. This is the type of thing you'd hear in a minor blues or a Latin type progression. For this approach, we're going to superimpose a diminished chord over our dominant 5 chord. And the easiest way to get started with this is to find the 3rd of your dominant 5 chord and then build a diminished 7th arpeggio off of that note. So let's look at the notes to this E7 chord. We've got E, the root, G sharp, the major 3rd, B, the perfect 5th, and D, the flat 7th. That's the recipe of notes that makes up that chord. So if we go to the major 3rd, G sharp, from here we can build a diminished 7th arpeggio. And for that, all we have to do is stack up minor thirds. So G sharp, up a minor 3rd, we get B, up a minor 3rd, we get D, and up a minor 3rd, we get F. This gives us a G sharp diminished chord, which when we play that over an E bass note, we get the sound of an E flat 9 altered chord. Now we can use the arpeggio for this chord to create single note lines. There's G sharp, B, D, F, G sharp, B. Right up a G sharp diminished arpeggio. We can use that to build tension and then resolve to A minor. Now, because this is a symmetrical chord, meaning it's just a series of minor thirds stacked on top of one another, we can move any of these simple shapes up the fretboard in minor thirds. So now I'm going to play these simple diminished arpeggios over that E7 chord in the progression and then resolve to a chord tone of the A minor. So now that you can hear what the basic arpeggio sounds like against that chord, we can use this to create lines and to play freely over the progression. For this next approach, we're going to use a mode of the harmonic minor scale. This is the E Phrygian Dominant scale. You could also look at this as the A harmonic minor scale, but starting on the 5th degree. Now the notes are E, F, G sharp, A, B, C, D, and then back to E. And you'll notice how this scale has our diminished 7th arpeggio within the scale. But we've added a few notes to make it a full 7-note scale. Here's what the scale sounds like against the E7 chord. All right, so now we can use this scale to create some lines over that E7 chord. I'm going to weave it together with some basic kind of A minor pentatonic phrases over the A minor chord, and then use the notes from this Phrygian Dominant scale when we get to that 5 chord. So the third approach we're going to look at is the altered scale. This is the 7th mode of the melodic minor scale, and the notes to this scale are E, F, G, G sharp, A sharp, C, D, and back to E. This is the kind of scale you would play over these pretty altered dominant chords. It's got a lot of cool altered extensions like the flat 9, the sharp 9, and the flat 13. So here's what this scale sounds like against these E7 chords, these dominant 5 chords in the progression. So once again, we can take this concept and weave it into our lines over that 5 chord, along with some basic A minor pentatonic blues stuff. All right, so all the tabs to all these examples, along with this backing track, are going to be available over on my Patreon site. The link is down in the description. Hopefully you got something useful from this lesson, some new things to think about when you're playing over a dominant 5 chord. And most of this stuff works equally well if you're playing a dominant 5 chord in a blues that resolves to a dominant 7 chord, or a jazz or R&B type thing that resolves to a major 7 chord. So experiment with this stuff over a variety of different tunes and try applying it in different ways. Until next time, happy practicing and take care.